It went bigger, but is it better? Insidious Chapter 2 was released in 2013, once again directed by James Wan, and it starred Patrick Wilson, Rose Byrne, Lynn Shay, Lee Winnell, Angus Sampson, and Steve Coulter. And yeah, I wouldn't call this better than the first, but it's still a damn enjoyable movie in my opinion. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into this review, starting off with good. And just like the first one, the acting is just very solid here. First, Patrick Wilson in this movie. You kind of get the script flipped on you with this movie because the end of the first one ends with Lynn Shay's character being strangled to death by Patrick Wilson. So you get the great cliffhanger, which leads right into this movie. And you get Patrick Wilson as kind of the villain of this movie, but you get more revelations later on about how he's being taken over by this evil spirit. And Patrick Wilson really sells it. He sells the sinister, pun intended, insidious side of the character, and he does a really great job here. Then you have Rose Byrne, pretty much kind of playing her character the same way that she was in the first movie. However, in this one, she's more worried about her husband because her husband is the one being haunted. And once again, Rose Byrne just really sells the performance, and her trying to deal with the events of the last movie leading into this movie. Really, really great performance from her. Once again, you get Lee Winnell and Angus Sampson as their characters, and once again, they're the comedic relief, but they actually get even more to do in this movie than they did in the last one. In the last one, they kind of just sat in the background helping Lynn Shay. In this one, they kind of have to take it over because Lynn Shay's character is now dead, and they get some really, really great moments, especially within the third act. And you have a new character in this movie played by Steve Coulter, who I guess they kind of tried to bring in to be kind of a replacement for Lynn Shay after they wrote themselves into a corner by killing her off in the last movie. And he's really great in this movie. I wouldn't say that he was better than Lynn Shay's character, but I'd say he was just as memorable, in my opinion at least. And he does a really great job trying to help out the family figure out what was wrong, what was going on. And Lynn Shay does come back in this movie. She appears through the astral projection plane that most of the third act takes place in. And she does a really great job as well. Like I said, she's only really in the third act, but she is really memorable, just like she was in the first movie. And the plot here is really great. Like I said, not as good as the first one, but it's still pretty enjoyable, with Patrick Wilson's character now being the one who's being taken over or haunted by an evil spirit. Them trying to save his soul from the further, which is the astral projection plane. Really love that. And the third act of this movie is just some of the best in horror history, in my opinion, with them going through the further, encountering all these ghosts, and even calling back to some events from the first movie, explaining how the alarm goes off in the first movie, who was standing behind the baby's crib in the first movie. Really great stuff. Kind of delves into a little bit of time travel, I guess, if you will. But I just really love that whole aspect of the movie. Like I said, the Insidious movies are really great at the astral projection side of horror that I personally, I don't think I've seen in any other horror movie, or at least done very memorably or very well. But I really love that whole scene. But I really love that whole aspect of the movie. And once again, you get some really effective scares and creepy atmosphere within this movie that builds throughout the runtime, and it adds to the tension that you get in the movie. And like I said, they went bigger with the scale of the use of the further and the spirits that we see within the further. And also, really great score and soundtrack as well adds to the tension along with the jump scares. And that's about all for the good. On to the bad. And there's a couple things in this movie that I don't like. First of all, you still got the little bit of over reliance on the loud noises with the jump scares. It's still a bit of an issue for me, unfortunately. And also, the main spirit or demon in this movie just is not as memorable as the lipstick demon from the last movie. Uh, didn't really care for it, but that's about all for the bad. On the final thoughts, and yeah, I still really like this movie. It's not as good as the first by any means, but I still think it's a damn good horror sequel, and I don't complain if I have to rewatch it when I rewatch this franchise. Insidious Chapter 2 is a serviceable sequel to the original. It's not a masterpiece by any means, but I have fun with it, and I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. So that was my thoughts on Insidious Chapter 2. Have you seen this movie? Let me know down in the comments what you thought about it if you have. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.